Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Fiber and Dice podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Engineers Falcon, and you can find our Ravelry group by looking for the Fiber and Dice podcast. So, welcome. Third podcast of the new year, second. I think it's just the second podcast of the new year. So, I'm glad that you are back. And if you are new, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I'm just going to jump right into it. First thing this week, Mountain of Conquered Things. I have conquered things. It's really fun. I haven't had conquered things much, except for washcloths. And yes, of course, some of these are washcloths. This is the second Christmas washcloth I was still knitting. And a good friend gave me some yarn for Christmas, and she loved her washcloth, so I knit her another one. I was experimenting with a pattern. I don't think this will be a permanent. I don't like this wavy edge. This will not be the new pattern. I do think it would make a really cool scarf, but I do not like it for washcloths. I mean, it's fine for this one, but I'm not going to make them all like this for 2016 Christmas season. I finished the phone pouch for my mom, so now we have matching phone pouches. This is all Heartland acrylic tweed. I did most of my washcloths out of it this year. I really liked it. I also have a hat. It is Barley by Tin Can Knits. Same acrylic yarn, but it is very soft. It is for a friend of my mom's, friend of our family, who was diagnosed with breast cancer, so it's going to go to her. And I really like this hat. It's free. It's in their series of like learning how to knit stuff, and it was a fabulous pattern. I really like how it kind of makes a flat top. And I don't know, I just think it's a really cute hat. It took me, I don't know, a day and a half to knit. I got to about right here and realized that I was making an error in the garter stitch. And so I was going to rip back to here, but acrylic is not wool and it's slippery and stuff kept dropping. So I started over and I still think I was done in well under 48 hours. So there's that. And I really like it. I don't know if there's an official way to wear it. I didn't make it too slouchy because I don't like slouchy hats, and I thought it might be a little warmer with no hair if it was a little tighter instead of slouchier in the back, because it is winter. So, but I highly recommend this pattern. In fact, I'm really curious to look at all of those and see what else. I know that there's quite a few things, the wheat scarf, I think, and knits, and I don't even know what else. But I was very interested in that whole series, and I'm glad I got to knit something out of it. I have finished grape juice. It's been on my wheel for a long time, since the move. Oh, it's upside down. Sorry. So it is 7 ounces of Fat Cat Knits grape juice, semi-solid on Falkland, and I am really tickled. I'll be glad to deliver that this weekend because I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm really pleased. So there's that. What else is in the Mountain of Conquered Things? I think that might be it. That's all I've done. And other than grape juice, I don't think I had any of this started. I think these are all beginning to end projects since I last spoke with you. I was going to have some books in the Mountain of Conquered Things, but I didn't. I've been catching up on podcasts. Okay, I had to pare my podcast down. I felt kind of bad because I love them all. But I had 55 podcasts, not 55 episodes, 55 actual podcasts in my Downcast queue. And I don't have that many hours a week for podcasts, so I'm kind of rotating through them. There are some that I listen to every single week. And then there's some that I listen to very regularly. But if I get way behind, I don't mind skipping a few. And there are some that I'm just downloading as I finish. Like, they still show up in Downcast. You've got a list of everything current, and then a list of everything that there's not a current episode of. And you can tell it if you want it to automatically download podcasts or if you want it to They can stay in your list, but you can go in and manually download them. And so I've done that so that I don't end up, I had like 120 podcasts episodes backed up in my queue. So I deleted a lot of those because it was filling up my iPad and I was never going to watch that many. So I'm watching a podcast and then I'm alternating podcasts with audiobook chapters. So I've been neglecting my Audible, trying to stay up on podcasts. So now I'm alternating so I don't get consumed by either one of them. What is climbing the mountain? Oh, I've left my socks. I'll be right back. Currently climbing the mountain are my Heart Crusher socks. This is the Heart Crusher colorway on some kind of sparkly sock base by Cyborg's Craft Room. I am using the pattern for a Fish Lips Kiss Heel where you can do a whole vanilla sock off that pattern, and that's what I've been doing. I found it to work really well. There's the first one. I finished it last year. Fish Lips Kiss Heel. My little tiny narrow heel there. It actually fits me really, really well. The only major modification I make is I purl the bottoms so that it's got stockinette on the inside where my foot hits instead of little pearl bumps. So I finished that one and I picked this back up last night. Sock number 2. I love this colorway. Not only do I think it's pretty, but I think it's hilarious because I was so a Wesley Crusher girl when I was all young and Star Trek The Next Generation geeky. So, in fact, I might even try to rewatch them this year. I haven't done that in a while. Still a big Will Wheaton fan. So that is what is climbing the mountain on my knitting needles. Climbing the mountains on my spinning wheel is Electra. This is a color by Fat Cat Knits. It is on Panda Base. This is the second bobbin. Go on the second bobbin. Grays and purples and blacks and whites. And it is spinning up. I've got the first bobbin here. Kind of heathery. And I love it. Really, really enjoying this. I spun this up in about a day. And that's kind of my goal. 2 ounces a day, most days, not every day. And then ply another day. So maybe that will help me get some stuff up in the shop this year. So that is what is climbing the mountain. Kind of monogamous. 1 pair of socks. 1 color on the wheel. We'll see how that works. Experimenting in that this year. Monogamy. What is waiting for me in base camp? I have a braid of fiber created by LCB. I met her. I've done some of her other fiber before. I met her through a friend on Facebook, and she was just really starting to dye, and she had some of her stuff up, and I grabbed this, probably a year and a half ago. We were still in Corpus. It's been a long time. And I don't know, I just love her little bright, fun, fancy colors. And everything I've spun up from her has just been real, I don't know, rich and saturated and pretty, kind of pastel-y, sherbety, but still real bright. I sent one of her braids. I spun one of her braids that was pinks and yellows, kind of similar to this, to Denmark, to a friend in Denmark. And she has just loved it. And she's working on a cowl or a scarf or something with it. And so I'm really excited to see how that looks finished. So I'm going to spin that while I'm waiting for fiber to spin for her mom in Denmark. So, and then what is waiting in base camp for the knitting needles? A third Mines of Moria hat. I love this hat. I knit one for myself. I knit one for the engineer. Lord of the Rings reference. Mines of Moria. And like these dwarven ruin things in the middle. When I knit this a couple years ago, one of my cousins said, "Hey, I really like that. Would you knit me one?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And I bought the yarn immediately. I was getting ready to make an order anyway. There it is. This yarn is Knit Pick Wool of the Andes, Garnet, Heather, and Coal. And then I promptly didn't knit it because I had other things. And then I opened the shop and I didn't knit it. And now it's been so long since I've done colored work, cable things like this. I have been terrified to put it on the needles. Just all flipped out that it's going to be too hard, even though I did the one for my husband in about a week. And it was not horribly hard. It was one of my first cable color work things ever. And it was not horrible. So I'm going to suck it up and get it knit because I want to. I want to have it for him. And I don't want to be scared of it anymore. I'm tired of being scared of knitting hats. Obviously, I did 2 of them just fine. There's no reason to think I couldn't do a 3rd one the same way. So, my hair's a little damp. Sorry, it kind of makes it funky after I put a hat on. So that will be the next thing after I finish my socks on my needles. And then I don't have any more finished washcloths. There's one about, I don't know, 1/3 or halfway done in the car. I will finish it on the way to Lubbock. So, that is Mountain of Conquered Things, Climbing the Mountain, and Base Camp. On to a giveaway. One of our Ravelry members, Nicole, has a shop called Knitting Geisha, and I will put links to this in the notes. And she put up at Thanksgiving, I think it was a Thanksgiving sale, yes, because I used birthday money, that she was running a little sale, and so I hopped onto her shop and I saw this little notions pouch. This little embroidered notions pouch, and it is too cute. I love it. I love it. So I bought it right away, and I picked up a needle minder while I did that, and it is a little fairy door, and it is too cute, and I love it so much. Little fairy door needle minder. So when I got the package, which was like 2 days later, she shipped it so fast, even being a holiday weekend. She sent me a little needle minder to give away to you guys, one of you guys. So it is a cute little pink and white button needle. I don't know if I can say it again. Needle minder, and it is adorable. Very, very cute. In fact, my daughter wanted it. So I'm going to put up a thread to enter the drawing for this. And I will put a link to her shop. Hop over there, look around. Tell me something you saw over there that you would like. Something that you thought was really pretty or really cool so that I know you were over there. And then next episode, I will draw for a winner and I will send this out to you because it's too cute. And it's the first time someone's donated something for a giveaway. I was kind of honored. So you guys go and show our appreciation to her for doing that and supporting the podcast by looking around in her shop. So excited. So excited. But that thread will be on the boards when we do show notes tonight. What is next? Peaks and pitfalls. This has been a pretty even-keeled week. I got my husband home for 5 days in a row last week. I mentioned our ice storm. So he didn't go to work for that. And then he was off on New Year's Day. And then he'd taken Friday as a vacation day. And then Saturday and Sunday we were supposed to travel. But the roads were too bad where we were headed. And they still weren't great here. It is the first time in 16 or 17 years of marriage that we have been home that many days together at the same time. We have never once just taken a few days and stayed home. We either travel or have company or, I don't know, we just always have plans. So it was really wonderful. He and the kids did science experiments. They did where you boil cabbage to make indicator and then test things to be acids or bases or neutral. And we played a bunch of games and we just relaxed and slept and read and did chores and recorded the podcast twice. It was really wonderful. So that was one of my big peaks. Pitfalls, we are having a hard time getting back in the rhythm of school. Oh my goodness. Oh, migraines, bad days. The 1-year anniversary this week of my grandmother passing away was a little harder for me than I thought it was going to be. So getting back into the school rhythm has been rough, but I guess that is a blessing of homeschooling and that I should be grateful that we have that flexibility. So I'm going to approach it that way. Um, I have enjoyed spinning. I spun all week and it was wonderful. You know, some days I feel like I'm fighting with my wheel. This week, everything has just gone so smooth and so pretty, and I've had so much fun. So that is um, that is a peak. My husband tried a free trial of Final Fantasy, and we are big, serious Final Fantasy fans. Final Fantasy 14 Online, A Realm Reborn. We were kind of disappointed. I don't know if we didn't give it enough time. Um, I will say it is gorgeous and it felt very Final Fantasy, but, and this is where it fell behind Elder Scrolls. The print, even on our big TV, was very small and kind of difficult to read from the distance the couch is. And there is no voice, or almost no voice acting. So if I, as just the observer whose knitting was going to follow along, I was going to have to read everything on the screen, or he was going to have to read it to me. So I think it is probably an absolutely amazing, wonderful game, but it doesn't fit our current criteria for something to do together, even though we're not technically doing it together. Elder Scrolls Online is almost all of the text is voice acted, so I don't have to sit and look at the screen, and he doesn't have to read to me, and everything was just felt bigger and closer. So I was kind of bummed about that because we have been going back and forth on Final Fantasy XIV since it was released forever ago, and we finally got up the nerve to get in there and try it, and we were a little bit bummed, but it was gorgeous. And the building your character at the beginning was very intense, and I loved that. He had a very cool character, so I was kind of bummed about that. Ducks in a Row. I do not have anything additional for Ducks in a Row this week. We have been using our notebook. We have been using the Motivated Mom cleaning and chore, not Motivated Mom, Confident Mom. The Confident Mom chore chart aggressively, and have been very pleased with it still. We have been doing 15 minutes. We've been trying to kind of expand. We started out with just doing a very limited amount of chores every day. Like we tried to get all the laundry and dishes and house picked up every day. And that was about all we were getting done. Especially I was really sick a couple years ago. And so all of the organization and cleaning and planning and that I had been doing for years since the babies were born, and I was trying to be, super cool, stay at home, keeps everything perfect all the time, mom, it doesn't work. Just for the record, it doesn't work. And then I got really sick and I was pretty much in bed for a couple months and everything fell apart, and it took me a couple of years to get back on my feet all the way from that. And I'm still not sure not just from that, but I'm still not all the way back on my feet. But all of that to say, we are better organized now, and we are getting back to a place where we can be more aggressive with the chores. So we went from, this is the list of things to get done every day, little short list, to our 15 minutes of awesome. And now we are doing the Confident Mom Planner. And so what I love about it, I guess I do have a ducks in the row, the Confident Mom Planner. And even if you are not a mom, if you would like a good house cleaning routine, this one is really fabulous. Every week you do the basic dusting, vacuuming, bathrooms, all that kind of stuff. But she also adds in chores like this week we cleaned one shelf of the fridge, and we'll do another shelf, next week or the week after, and then a third shelf, and then the freezer. So in about a month or 6 weeks, you completely clean out your refrigerator and freezer, but not all at the same time. So it always looks nice. It's not always perfectly clean, but it's always very close to clean. And knowing that it's coming back around makes me a little more eager to clean up spills because I know that we're going to have to do that. There's not a lot on there that is like mom focused. There are, chores for your children to do, kids straighten their rooms, vacuum the kids' rooms, dust the kids' rooms, and that kind of stuff. But I think that would probably be pretty easy to ignore if you wanted to. She has things like look for birthday cards, write thank you notes, take down Christmas decorations, plan the Thanksgiving menu. There were no chores on it for New Year's Day, which was way fun. She kind of rearranged that week so that everything got done, but we still got all of New Year's Day off. So we are using that consistently. The four of us working together, I bet we still don't spend more than 15 or 20 minutes a night. And that's with two kids who are not, they're good helpers, but they are definitely not pulling an adult's load yet. So I said that to encourage you that even if you don't have children helpers yet, I think a lot of it would be doable. In fact, for years I did it by myself before I got sick, and then before we decided that it was time for the kids to start helping with the big household cleaning instead of just their own stuff. And so now we do all those chores as a family. Not so much because I can't do them, but because they need to know how to clean house. They are in a few years going to be going off into the great big world, real world, all by themselves. And they need to know how to run a household. So we are getting to hand a few of those chores off at a time to them. So there we go. That's my ducks in a row for the week. Confident Mom 2015 planner. We will put a link in and you can go and I think if you sign up for her mailing list, maybe the planner is free. And then she has some supplemental stuff you can buy if you want to fluff it up. So I don't know. I like it. So I guess that brings us to Gamerly News, where we talk about all the gaming things. First things first, challenges. I've had a few questions about the challenges, and I think in the effort to make sure I got all the rules out there, because this is the first time I've done anything, I kind of missed some of the exciting, fun, why I'm doing these challenges for this group. So the Fiber and Dice Challenge is just to give you a chance to knit and game and share what you're doing. That's the whole purpose. It's just to get us talking about games and visiting and having fun, and for me to have something fun to give away patterns for this year. So that's the whole purpose of that. So if you are knitting and gaming at the same time, put a post on Instagram, hashtag it Fiber and Dice, FIBERANDDICE, and I will see it and I will add you to the list. If you want to Instagram a hashtag for the actual podcast, because in the past we've been doing that some, Fiber and Dice, there hasn't been a whole lot, but a little bit. That hashtag is now Fiber and Dice Podcast. Fiber and Dice Podcast. So that it will be separate from the Fiber and Dice Challenge. 2 in 12. 2 by 2 by 12. That challenge is just out there to get you to explore and try new games. So that is to pick 2 games that you have either never played before or that you haven't played in a couple years, and play each of them twice in 1 month. If you can only play 1 new game a month, just go to the thread, write that game down, take pictures when you play it. If you only play it once, at least post that. You don't have to finish any of the challenges. You don't have any new games in January, but in March, you pick up a new game. Then go in and add March on the thread, the 2 by 2 thread, and hop in when and where you can. You do not have to complete any of the challenges to be eligible. All you have to do is enter every time you game. So I hope that makes sense. The same with 10 by 10 in 2015. The point of this podcast's 10 by 10 in 2015 is to challenge you guys to get deeper into some games. Our family is shooting for 10 games. I think when I was explaining it before, I know I made it sound like you needed to have all 10 games picked now. That's exactly what I said and not at all what I meant. Just that. As you pick games for that, go and add them to your list in the 10 by 10 in 2015 thread on the Fiber and Dice board, so that I will know what you're playing and so we can visit about it, and to kind of help me keep track of who's doing what where. So if you are playing a 10 by 10 in 2015 game, hashtag it fiber and AEND dice 10 by 10. If you're playing a 2 by 2, fiber and dice 2 by 2. The main reason I want you to go and post on the Ravelry thread, there are two purposes for that. One, to keep track of what you're playing, and two, so you can tell me your Instagram name so I can find you. So you need to be a member of the group. You need to have registered on the thread and started listing your games. And then you need to, when you play, enter it with the hashtag on Instagram. If you are new to the podcast, episode 24 is a rundown of those challenges with a lot more detail than I just gave. So if you're interested in being part of those, also, I'm throwing out a lot of information, and it's my first time to do a challenge. And so if you don't have a clue what I'm talking about or I'm not making any sense, do not be afraid to ask questions on the board or to PM me and say, hey, that's not making any sense, or hey, this doesn't seem right. Can we do it this way? A couple people have done that. I've been like, oh my goodness, I totally didn't make that clear at all. So if you guys will bear with me, my first time to run challenges like this, maybe by the end of the year, we will have it down and running smooth and great. Quite a few entries this week. I have been so excited. I think that someone has entered into all three threads, and some people into more than one of them. So that is really exciting. I'm having fun. And when I'm grouchy at the end of the day and I'm like, I don't want to play a game, and then I open my Instagram and Christine has played 3, I'm like, I've got to get on this. So little competition is fun, I guess. What have we played since last we spoke? We played Mice and Mystics. I learned to play Pathfinder. Ooh, it was really fun. We played Valley of the Kings. That was one of my 2 by 2 by 12 games. And we taught the kids One Night Ultimate Werewolf that I showed you last week. That was the game of the week on episode 23. And we have played it 4 or 5 times already because the kids think it's way fun. So we are really enjoying that. Oh, and there's a little Pokemon playing going on. So lots of cool stuff there. So that's where we stand. No drawings, no new news there. I don't think we are backing anything new on Kickstarter. So I guess that brings us to Game of the Week. And I didn't unbox the Game of the Week, so I will hope I don't make too much noise. This week's Game of the Week is my first Carcassonne. Carcassonne is a tile laying game that we've been playing for years, and we really like it. It's one of our 10-10. It's been a little neglected. But it is one of our 10-10 in 2015. My sister has original Carcassonne. We have my first Carcassonne, and I picked up Winter Carcassonne with Christmas money. So this is for 2 to 4 players, ages 4 years and plus, and it takes about 20 minutes. This is the kids' version of Carcassonne by Z-Man Games. We love it. And my kids are 10 and 11, so they're not 4, and it's still been fun. So it's not a baby game at all. And it is so cute. But the backstory on this game is that there's some kind of festival going on. Let me see if I can remember. Oh, here it is. Each year, the inhabitants of Carcassonne celebrate their national holiday. As is the tradition, the people celebrate by setting loose sheep, hens, and cows in the street. From dusk till dawn, the kids of Carcassonne have the time of their lives trying to bring all the animals back. So, it's a tile laying game, so everyone gets tiles, and you also get meeples. Everyone, my children are squealing, meeples! Everyone gets a color of meeples. You get a handful, I think 5 or 6 meeples. So there are 4 colors. There's also red in there that I can't dig out. They're way on the bottom. So you get your meeples and you get some tiles. And the tiles are adorable. They look like this. Well, this is the back. the little kids of Carcassonne. And then on the front, you've got the city of Carcassonne in little pieces. Here's a bridge. This is a green players person. You've got houses, you've got roads, you've got bridges, and of course, you have the little farm animals running around. This little girl's trying to get the kitten. Let me see. Here's a hen. Right here. So cute. Some birds and the little girl crossing the stream. So you get some random tiles, and everyone starts placing tiles. So you play the tiles so that the paths connect. And you can play anywhere that you can connect a path. So on your turn, you place a tile, and then you draw a tile to replace it. When you complete a road, let me see if I can find a really good example of how that would happen. Like this. Okay, the person before me plays this card, and then I play this card, and I happen to be green, and I happen to have gotten a card with a green person on it, so that works out in my favor. And then someone else plays this tile. Now this road that the green player is on is complete. Once a road is complete, everyone who has players on that road puts a meeple down on it. So in this case, the green player could put one down, but the blue one could not because the blue road is not finished. If you end up with multiple colored people on that same tile, or multiple of your own color on that tile, so if it went like this would have been a really good one to lay down. And then we closed it off with this. Okay, so let's pretend like this is what we built. So this road that green and red are is now complete. Then green and red get to put their meeples down regardless of who finished the road. So you may end up having to finish a road that doesn't have any of your people on it, and other people may get to play on it. Or you may get all your people on, one or two roads, and when you complete them, you get to put 3 meeples down. The first person to place all their meeples wins. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it is a lot of fun. Again, the 4 of us play it. We range from 10 to 37. I think I'm 37. And we've really enjoyed it. And it is a good precursor to adult Carcassonne. It has the tile laying, it has the meeple placing, it has the thinking about who's got control of which roads and what areas, and the strategy of how to use that to your advantage best without being too complicated. We occasionally play kids games where they're too complicated or too many rules, or they're simplified so much that they don't really reflect the spirit of the original game. And I think that this is actually a really good adaptation. And I do think pretty much anyone 4 up could play. It would also be a good game to play with people who aren't just real serious gamers, who don't want to sit down. You have grandparents and aunts and uncles that want to play something with the kids or family gathering, and you want the kids to be involved, but you don't want it to be like, just boring kid games. I happen to enjoy the boring kid games. I always enjoyed playing Candyland and the Ladybug game and all those with the kids. But I know a lot of people don't. I don't know that most of my family would want to sit down and play Candyland. But my first Carcassonne has just enough strategy that it's not boring for adults. It's kind of fun. So that is my game of the week. And I am off we're having a friend's day over tonight. And then we're headed to Lubbock in the morning for doctor's appointments and finishing up Christmas things and family birthday things and all the things. And we're going to go see Into the Woods. And we're going to a Pitch Perfect sing-along. I am so excited. It will probably be one of my peaks next episode. So, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.